So last episode we worked on our Scotch API search and we got that done. So in this episode we're going to work on parsing out flavor profiles from a search query and actually constructing a search message behind that. So we mentioned in the beginning that we were possibly going to add something to our group info where we could pass it a string of terms or some text, and it would go through and it would try to write a score for each of these groups based on that text. So we're going to write that right now. So we're going to dive in and we're going to do a get score. So the goal behind this is you're going to pass in some text, and that text is going to contain certain keywords such as dry or sweet, and we might add a few more terms to this. And it's going to go through and taking all that text, it's going to generate this arbitrary score for how closely you match with each of these groups. So we might need to modify what our groups and our accents have up there, but we can dive into that once we get going. Okay. So we actually want to return a map value. So this is going to take an object and it's going to return a brand new object with the same keys, but the values have been changed. So we're going to take our group object up here and we're going to iterate over it, and we're trying to get a new score for each of those keys in there. So this is going to be given a group information. Perfect. Okay, let's just ensure that the text coming in is going to be lowercase. Okay, so we're looking for the presence of certain terms. All right. I wonder if there's a count in Lodash. Should be. Count by. Yep. Cool. I think. No, this isn't what I want. I actually think, I think I just might want a sum, potentially. Maybe. Okay, so the logic that I want to do here is I have the group information. So now what I want to do is I want to iterate over each of the tastes. So iterate over taste, and I want to iterate over accent. So each time one of these matches, I want to return a new value. Okay, I think I know how I can do this. Okay, so we're just going to use a sum by. So we can go over the group, and we're going to go over tastes, or the taste. And what we'll do, we'll use one-liners here for ternaries. So we're going to do that if the text.index of the taste is not equal to -1, then we are going to return, let's do 3 points for now. So we're going to assign 3 points for every taste that matches, and we're going to assign 1 point for every accent that matches. Okay. We might one-liner these later. Okay, and this is going to be our accent. And we're going to do an accent score. What I actually might do is just return this, and we're just going to add these two things together. Okay. Cool. All right, let's write out some test cases, and I think this is still just running the bot, which works. So we're just going to comment that out. And I don't think we have the group in here, so we'll bring it in real fast. Give me something sweet and smoky. Okay, what did I call it? Group. Cool. So this is going to give us back this nice score here where we have 3s across the board and then a 6 and 1. Let's go back and just make sure. So we have sweet and smoky. So let's see what this is happening here. Okay, so our J's and I's, we have very smoky here and we have quite smoky. So this is when we have to kind of like work on our qualifiers and possibly move them outside and just focus on the core words. So we might actually have to change how our descriptions are generated because we're leveraging these words to give more variety to our descriptions. So we might have to remove those out because I and J should have definitely been hit on this. I almost because we have pronounced sherry up here. I almost want to make one more tier of these groups where it's just like the main, it's like the flavor, the taste, and the accent almost. Yeah, because E's main taste is medium sweet. No one's ever gonna say medium sweet. That's kind of silly. All right, what do we want to do here? I don't know what we want to do here. I have the examples. Oh, I already have the 3 layers. We have taste, accent, and sum here. Sometimes with the sum. So what we might do is drop these and add them as a random variable for actually describing these things. So we can drop a very and pronounced and quite onto our descriptions there, so these can map a bit better. So let's remove those now. Let's see, quite smoky. And like medium sweets, I don't think that's gonna play well. We're just gonna go with sweet. Okay. All right, so what we'll actually do, we actually need to do this a bit better. Oh, we actually have our accent being the same amount of points here. So we'll do this at 1 point, and then we actually have our sum. We'll give that a half point. I don't know what I'm doing here. Oops. Cool. So now we have something that will hopefully match a bit better. The proof style is never going to match. No one's ever going to say that. But this allows Chris to kind of like maybe bolster these out to have them map a bit better, which would be very fun and fascinating for him to do. So if we look over here, given that description of sweet and smoky, that gives us our best bet with AI. So I'm not sure what exactly I want to do here with. See, we said sweet and smoky. Does I have sweet and smoky at the top? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So if we come back here, and I was like, what? I want something like medicinal. Let's see. Oh. So you have one win out of that, which is pretty funny. Okay. So, all right, so we have the score, and I think what I want to do is write a function that just gets us the max group. We'll just search within that group. We'll keep it nice and simple for now. Get matching group from text. So we're going to grab our scores, And that's going to be from our, let's do group info. Whenever I need to reuse something I'm exporting, I just name it and then export at the bottom. I might be able to actually reference the module exports itself. There might be a cleaner way to do this, but I just always tend to do this. Okay, so we have scores. So we're going to do the group get score from this text. Let's actually scores. Okay, so now we want to grab the maximum key from that list. Is there a max that works this way? It only looks over an array. Okay, so maybe I want to do an unzip. Let's see. Nope. Okay, I want to take an object. I want to turn it into an array. A transform. I've never used this one before. Interesting. Keys in, invoke, invert. So you'll want this with max. What would be the easiest way to do this? Sometimes I hate that my brain just like completely farts on these, because normally I would be able to solve this pretty easily, and then having to talk through it, I just completely blank out. So 2 pairs I think will work. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a, let's try a max by. This is going to be a little bit weird. We're taking the scores, we're going 2 pairs, so now this is going to create an array of arrays. And now what we want to do is we want to actually return the second value. So we're going to return info 1, and then this should actually return us the whole array, and we actually want to target the first one. So what 2 pairs does, takes an object, and you have the key and value pairs, creates it into an array of arrays, and each of those subarrays will just have the key and value as the 1 and 2 variables. And so I actually think this will work. So let's grab get matching group. Yeah, I think that actually would work. It's kind of silly. Yeah, this gives us J. And if we sub this out, oh. And this gives us I. Cool. Okay, so we have sweet and smoky, so we have our group that we're matching on. Yes, we're just returning 1 group for now. Later we might return the top 2 or 3, or we might do some cool cutoff mechanics, but it's getting a little bit late, so I'm just going to try to wrap this up. So now we can grab the matching group out of a series of text. And so what we want to do here is if the values are all 0, we might want to return an empty string. So for example, if we have none of these values, give me something, this is still going to return something, which we kind of don't want. And so let's just go back here and factor in this edge case. So we're going to do max by, I'll just grab an edge case in here, const max. Cool. I'm going to say if that max, and remember this is the pairing, so this is the second value, is equal to 0. So if the max value is 0, we're just going to return an empty string. Otherwise, we're going to return max of 1. And now empty string. Boom. That works perfect. And if we drop in the word sweet, we get A. Fantastic. Okay. So we have this, and so now we want to dive into actually writing the recommender. So our keywords that we want to focus on to dive into something like this is, let's go with, yeah, recommend works. Maybe suggest too, like, can you suggest me a scotch? Let's do that for now. That feels good. Okay, so we have this. Now what we want to do is we want to grab the matching group. Cool. We might move this into the API, actually, so we'll do that in just a second. Yeah, actually, let's do that right now. Search. This might not be the right place for it because this is going to do some string parsing, and we've kind of kept this API really, really skinny and clean. But whatever. Let's do this. Okay. All right, so we have that going to lowercase, so we're going to grab our group from over here. Okay, and we have our text coming in here. Okay, so we have our group. Next thing that we wanted to check for is the presence of the words like cheap or rich or whatnot. So I'm kind of feeling bumping this logic back out again. I know I'm the worst, but let's do it. Because we can use the nice Slack has. Okay, so let's with our price or cost. And we're going to say if Slack message has on this text the words of cheap, poor, inexpensive, we are going to do something. And vice versa, if we have expensive, rich, let's go with fancy. Okay. So let's open up these this grading again. So like by default, I'm thinking we do 3 and 4. And then if you want a cheap scotch, we do 2 and 1. And if you want a really expensive one, we go up there. Yeah, I like that. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want a cheap scotch, we'll drop that down. And expensive scotch, we'll bump that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3. I think that that's the right number. Perfect. Okay, so we have this. Lovely. All right. So next we're going to do is we're actually going to use our API call that we have down here. We have our group that we generated. Boom. We have our costs, which I named cost. Let's fix that. And now we have our results. Okay. Cool. And let's go with recommend Scotch up here with some text, just to break it into a function so we don't have so much logic in an if. Great, and then we can just return this whole thing. Great. All right, so we can bump this up. Cool, and we can now kill this. So now we can take this and do a recommend scotch with some text and cheap. Okay, message dot lowercase has already been declared. Right, I have to go back to that. Cool, so this gives us cheap and medicinal scotches, and that looks in line with what we want. Okay, this is actually getting cool. Okay, give me something sweet and fancy. Lovely. All right, so we have now our group A's and really, really expensive guys. Boom. Okay, great. All right, so the next step that we want to do, yeah, we have these recommenders, so we can now grab the recommendation from here. Okay, all right. And we're gonna do message.text, scotches. So what I actually want to do here is, I don't want to return all of these. I just want to return 1, maybe 2, and on the rare occasion, possibly 3. Maybe let's just work on 2 for now. So we're actually going to grab a sample from whatever this returns. I'm just going to do from random. Oh my god. Seriously, I don't know how I actually code sometimes. And we're going to grab a random from a list. And just so we can give this a little bit of weight, this is a trick that I do sometimes where I'll just give it an array I'll give it a sample to pick from like 1, 1, 1, and 2 occasionally. So like a quarter of the time it will give back a suggestion of 2, which I think should feel okay. Let's actually just add one more 1 in there, so just in case. Boom. So now this will return us back 2 scotches, or potentially 1 or 2 scotches. So we need to write a new formatter that handles this. So we can come up here, grab this, and we're going to do a recommend formatter, and we're going to send it potentially our scooches. Okay. Last step, and then we can end off this video. I think this is getting a little bit long. We're at 23 minutes, but I think we can wrap this up in time. Okay. So let's go to our formatter. So what do we want to happen in this recommender? Yeah, recommend. It's taking scotches. Okay, so once again, we'll use the same preamble trick that we've been doing. I like that. So we have a preamble. I have just the thing for you. I don't know what else to say here. Let's. I'm gonna have one of my friends help me come up with more fun things to say in these preambles. So we'll do that. I'm going to want to modify this. Okay, so I'm also going to come up with a second preamble, just in case we have a second scotch that we want to use. Or how about this? Okay, so now we're gonna come here and we have our initial preamble. Okay. We know there's gonna be at least 1 scotch in that list. I hope. We'll add a condition for that. Okay, we can assume there's going to be multiple, at least one Scotch on this list. So we text one with the formatter. All right, and then we'll do a let out here. I don't know. When it comes to string manipulation, I never know when I want to do conditional strings, what's the best way to do it. Do I do lets and do I add them together when the conditionals happen, or do I just like cast an empty variable and then bring them together at the end? So I'll show you the empty variable idea. Keep this as a constant. We'll do a let as a text2. This will actually be completely empty string. I'm going to say if the scotches length is equal to 2. Then we're going to do our second preamble. We're going to do text2 is going to be very, very similar to this guy. Oops. And we're going to grab Scotch numero 2. And then when we go to return, we actually are just returning text1 and text2. See, that looks dumb to me. Like, why would you just have the string with two things in it? I don't know. So the other idea is you just have this being like something like let result. And then in here, we literally are just adding this to the result. And that's what we return. That looks a little bit better to me. Not by much, but it's a little bit better. Okay. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to grab a console log of the formatter with the recommend. And you're going to grab me a sample size out of the Scotch API of the entire list, the length of 2. Go. Scotch is not defined. What? Formatter 51. Oh, I see. V and V. Go. What's the scotches that we're getting in here? Oh. This all should be fine. Okay, why are you erring? In the description. Oh, I see. It has to be sample size because then that's going to return an array. Because we're always assuming array. I have just a thing for you, Lefroy, or how about this? Boom. Okay. So that's just, I'm doing the recommendation engine, just firing into random scotches, which works pretty nice. Okay. And we're going to put our condition in here. If scotches.length equals 0, then we are actually going to send off a random one. So if you don't send anything that matches, we're just going to send off a random one. And right now, if anything that comes through here, we'll return back this list generator. Okay. All right, let's stop writing these test cases and let's actually have this work. Spun up. Scotchbot, give me something medicinal. Suggest? Oh, I don't think. There we go. Just a thing for you. That's cool. Okay. Give me something sweet yet cheap. Ooh, so it couldn't match any sweet yet cheap. Fascinating. Okay. That's okay. This is actually, this could be fun. I couldn't find anything for you. However, here's something off the top. And I'm just going to add that, or I'm going to do a new line. Does that work? Yeah, I think that all works. Okay, I like that. Dot. I like that he talks in italics. It's a little bit fun. And of course my misspellings all over the place. Okay, so you can't find anything, sends you a random scotch. I love it. That works out really nicely actually. And oh, that's fascinating. There's no cheap sweet scotches. That is blowing my mind. And ooh, let's do pricey as another thing that we want to do here. I just wanted to type that. Oh, that's brutal. Is that the right emoji here? Dizzy face? Yeah, let's keep that. That's gonna be fun. Let's do that again. I love it. Okay. Okay, no, I don't care about this. Oh my god. Okay, so I actually think that wraps up our recommendation engine. Things that we have left to do on this is kind of expand out these preambles, and then also possibly expand out our tasting notes up here so that people can give more wider ranges of words, and then we can have them generated in here. Oh, and the last thing I forgot to do is add in the pronounced and quites and varies, but I'll do that off camera. It's very simple to do. I'll just randomly add those while we're doing the descriptions in here. Perfect. Okay. All right, maybe there'll be another episode of this, not sure, but hopefully this has been a little bit fun to follow along with.